There is a growing list of games that I miss playing, and as I go through the list, many will say, but you can still play those games. To some degree, you would be right. I could, but it wouldn't be the same. Let me detail what it is about these games that make it hard to go back to, even though I'd love to. The first game I'm going to hit on is Rainbow Six Siege. I enjoyed playing this game for the longest time, but after Operation Velvet Shell, I could see that the game was starting to trend in a different direction, away from its initial goal of the game being a tactical realism shooter. The last time I would have played would have been back in June of 21. Since then, so many characters have been added to the game, and even the recruits got a redesign. I'll always remember recruit rushing with the default loadouts, and having a great time with whoever I was queued with, or just randoms that understood why everyone was picking recruit. Why did Ubisoft have to go and spoil our fun? For me to try and get back into the game now would be rough. I'd have to learn all the weaknesses and counters and abilities of each character again, and by the time I do that, they will have added like 12 more. Not to mention just about all of the maps got reworks and look nothing like the maps we had back in 2016. Same name but completely different layout. With a ton of new weapons and mechanics, old tricks that once worked are probably non-existent at this point. The pace has also changed quite a bit. Just from watching casuals in the last month on streams, it plays so much faster than what it used to. I'll tell you one thing that I don't miss about the game, was being spawn killed right out of drone phase. That was bullshit, and should have never been allowed in the first place. There is one good thing about this situation though. It has spawned a third-party set of rules and servers that only play years 1 and 2 of Rainbow Six. You know, back when things were a little more stable. This is great news, but from what I've heard from other players, it gets really sweaty, so for those of us looking to relive the glory days, you might be in for a rude awakening. A more recent game I stepped away from was Sea of Thieves. This is gonna sound bad, but I loved how little this game had to offer when I first started playing back in 2019 and 2020. You had very basic tasks and missions that didn't complicate things, and only a handful of factions to level up, with one of the hardest ones being the Reaper's Bones. There was an okay amount of customizing that you could do, but nothing compared to how it is now. The problem here is that it made a big push for microtransactions, skins, and a redundant season pass. One of the things they changed years later, which kind of defeated the purpose of the game, was the ability to make private lobbies. I've been the victim of getting my ship sunk many times and my loot taken after an hour or two of hard work, and I sure was upset, but eventually I got over it. It comes with the territory of the game. Like Siege, it takes away from what the original point of the game was. There have been new mechanics added and weapons added with this game as well, and some of them look ridiculous, and it definitely changes how the game operates. The last couple of times playing Sea of Thieves were rough for me, not in the aspect of having trouble with other players, or not having a good time in general, but the overall play of the game itself. For years I was able to run the game on medium to high graphics with no problems at all. When the last updates came through before I quit the game, I could feel that it hadn't been optimized for older PC systems like the one I have now. I even streamed Sea of Thieves before all this and it ran fine. One problem that I have today with many games is that it will add too much to the game, and for Sea of Thieves, it sunk it. Credit where credit is due though, I loved the Pirates of the Caribbean campaign. I just wish we could have also gotten a One Piece campaign around the same time. Rocket League is one game on this list that hurts me the most. I spent hundreds of hours on this game when it finally came to Xbox One in early 2016. I even bought it across 3 platforms, first on Xbox One, then on PC, then I got it on Switch to play on the side. That's how much I loved this game. Once Epic got their hands on it, it went to shit. Season Pass again, game modes and ranked modes were gotten rid of or rules had changed, and they added tournaments that really weren't all that good. This game at one point even had an economy of its own where cosmetics and items held a price, but now it's gone. It's gotten so bad that trading is basically a thing of the past. Maps really haven't changed all that much, and the lineup is about the same. The only map change I really remember at the time was Neo Tokyo, but there again the last time I played was back in March of 22. Now let's talk about the community. For 3 strong years once this game made it to all of the platforms, the community was good and everyone played until the buzzer, even if they were losing by 3 goals. Now? Man, you're lucky if your teammates don't try to forfeit if your team lets a goal in after 5 seconds. You still have the rest of the game to play. It's pathetic, and at this point I knew that Rocket League was getting ready to die. It's funny to me how all the influencers and pros were continuing to play the game and saw no issues with what was going on at the time, but a few years later, then had the gall to claim the game was dead in 24 and 25. Guys, the game was already dead, you were a few years off. Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare was one hell of a game that is older and surprisingly still available to play. This game hasn't been updated in years, but when you can find a full lobby to play in it, it makes for a great time. This is easier accomplished on Xbox One and PS4 as there are more players active than on PC. You can find some lobbies for different games on PC, but it gets harder, especially with quite a few hackers roaming the servers. I was shocked to find out that up until April 28th of this year, the PS3 release was still available to play online. Not too sure how many were playing until the end, but mind you, this game came out in 2014, so that's a big stretch. Weirdly enough, the Xbox 360 version is still online. I'm not a big fan of the second game, and I'm not even going to touch Battle for Neighborville. The first one has just the perfect amount of content and its layout is really well thought out. The problem with this game? There just aren't enough players all around to fill the lobbies, and that's what makes it hard to come back to this game. It's still a very good game, but we need players. Another game that has this problem is Battlefront 1 from EA. Both Battlefront games are really good despite what a lot of people say, but the first one I hold really close to me as it's the first and only game I've ever pre-ordered in my life. I remember when they dropped the free open beta back in October of 2015, how much fun it was and how many players flocked to it. There were times where you had to wait to get into games because there were so many players on, but when you did, it was chaos. The battles on Hoth during Walker Assault were fun, and to repeat myself again, chaotic. It was a glimpse into what was coming down the line for when the game released. This game mirrors almost everything when it comes to the state of Garden Warfare. It hasn't been updated for a while, it's still playable online, but again, there aren't enough players online to get full lobbies going, unfortunately. I'm glad that the second game is going strong and it's come back quite a few times, and even now has third-party servers to keep the game going long after the main one's shut down, and also to manage hackers that might join to disrupt the fun, but I feel we still need to show the same love and appreciation towards the first one as well. For the brief time I was on TikTok back in 2021, I saw a handful of people trying to organize a comeback for the first Battlefront, but as you can guess, they didn't get nearly enough people as they would like. I respect the effort though, as I was one that tried to help boost numbers and share the word. It's a shame it never worked out. There are probably other games that fit the criteria for this list, but these are the handful I wanted to highlight. For some, we just don't have enough players to keep these games going, and I'd hate to see them get shut down because of it. These are great games that are finished and don't have the drip feed method that plagued today's games. There is little required to enjoy some of these games too. On the other hand, too much has been added to these games and it's muddied the waters, making it harder to enjoy, making you lose sight of the point of the game in the first place. Sometimes the old community disappears, and what comes afterward is a not so good set of players. Not in a they're just better than you way, it's more like there isn't enough content, I can't easily win every game, I'm down by 1 so I quit kind of people. We have good games that are rotting and some need to go back to their roots. And then there are some that are waiting for our return, and we should be utilizing these when the new games that come out let us down. Hopefully I get the chance to return to some of these games, but time will tell. If you made it to the end of the video, be sure to like, subscribe, and share the video. I've got a couple more videos in the works that I should be releasing in the next few days, so there will be plenty to watch in the event you want to hear more about my thoughts on different things. Be sure to also check out my previous uploads, including my highlights and hilarity videos from years before. You might like those. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you real soon.